Why don't you tell me what kind of a mental health professional you are?
Yes, I am a licensed clinical social worker, marriage and family therapist candidate, and I'm trained to be an addictions counselor too.
Okay, all right, cool. And tell me about your idea for your program, because it sounds like you've already been doing some things.
Along with having mental health training, I'm also an educator. I have teaching experience and I have a master of arts in curriculum and instruction. So I have like advanced knowledge in teaching and building courses and things like that. And as a part of my business, when I started, I wanted to be able to use some of that knowledge. So I began to provide consulting services to therapists who wanted to create courses and workshops and basically give them like instructional coaching, like teacher style
How
instructional
did they
coaching.
find you?
Um, I did webinars, workshops, networking events, referrals, things like that. And it's going okay. I don't spend a lot of time on it. I spend most of my time doing therapy and running the
How
therapy side
many clients would you say you've had so far?
in consulting. Six, seven.
Six clients. Okay. Do you mind if I ask how much they paid you for your help?
Oh, it ran the gamut. Some paid $100 a month. Some paid $75 an hour. Some paid
For how many hours roughly, like the total ticket price?
well, I was originally doing packages
Uh-huh.
where it would be basically like a $7,500 package for a year worth of support.
Wow, okay.
Um, but that was not working.
Any
And
idea why? Everybody just saying, I don't have the money, or what were they saying?
yeah, most folks were saying they didn't have the money. Um,
Actually, usually not the real objection. There's usually another objection behind the I don't have the money. You see, because if somebody really can see the fact that if I create a course, I could be making $5,000 to $50,000 a month with my course.
yeah.
Then $7,500 is really a very small amount of money to help. And I mean, for me, I don't charge that much, but I don't help people for a year. I help people for 6 months. But there are
Oh,
other programs out there, $12,000 that are
yeah.
6 months long,
Oh,
and they're successful in the market. And it's really because the marketing is helping people to understand the value of the opportunity. And this is the huge problem that mental health professionals have is everybody thinks in chunks of time. How
mhm.
long is it going to take me to do this? This is why group therapy costs $30, right? Because
Yeah.
the therapist doesn't understand that they could be charging $100, but instead, what they do is say, "How much time will it take me to do this project?" Okay, I'm going to divide my fee by that amount of time, and then I'm going to give myself this much harder a job in running the business because I'm just undercharging so severely, you know. But charging people $100 a month to for an opportunity that can make them thousands, tens of thousands per month is seriously undercharging what you're worth. And I understand where that thinking comes from, but the number one problem is we have to find a way to get out of it. Can I ask you, how were you actually communicating the opportunity to people? You were helping them to create courses or workshops. How do you communicate that opportunity to them?
Well, many of my folks would find me through a webinar that I did that was recorded and sent out.
It was
Um,
sent out. It wasn't advertised. You were sending it to people.
no, it was another organization, and I came in as like a guest, like facilitator.
Uh
And
huh.
I would walk them through something that I would do in my training and in my coaching. And then they would reach out to me based on that. And then I would basically name like, this is something that could really help you build and expand your business. My main line has been if you don't want to be in the therapy chair 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, but you want to be making the type of money that you
Uh-huh.
would make in the therapy chair 8 hour days, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. This is another great way to diversify your income.
That's
Uh,
the kind of messaging you should be using.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Uh, it didn't. I mean, I guess
There's
it's
an execution issue somewhere. That's the problem. There's an execution issue because you should be able, your numbers should look like this. you should be able to run a webinar. Let's say you run a live webinar every week, and you present this material. Now, what's in the webinar might be the problem, but you should be able to get people signed up for, if you're running an ad, $20 a person into your webinar. And you'll get a show up rate of about 25% of these people will actually come to your event. And then if you really deliver well in that webinar, you should be able to get, let's say you have 20 people on that live webinar, you should be getting between 4 and 6 calls and between 1 and 2 sales at several $1,000s each. So you should be spending about, let's say you're spending $2,000 a week to promote a live webinar. You should be able to walk away with between $6,000 and $12,000 per week in revenue from that offer. You should be able to do it. There's a problem somewhere that we have to find.
Yeah, well, one thing is I wasn't running webinars consistently. I did it one time.
Ah, okay.
So that's, I think, part of the problem.
I'll give you a tip. I've done my webinar training. I've now done it 96 times live.
Whoa.
I
Okay.
just been super consistent on delivering that. It was not what I did in my first year of business. I didn't do a webinar first. I actually did organic outreach just like you, but I was doing organic outreach to like 20 or 30 people a day, every business day. And that was making me between $4,000 and $16,000 a month on this offer. And then I switched into the webinar. And since I switched into the webinar, even now I have to control how many people I make the offer to, because so I don't end up with too many people in the program, too many for me to support. You should be able to have these numbers. You
I
should.
know I grossly undercharge. I know that's
Yeah.
definitely an issue,
Now,
and I'm fixing
can I
that on.
ask you, is there a personal I mean, I know that the industry conditions you to grossly undercharge, but is there a personal thing as well? Because sometimes we need to do personal work before we bring up our rates as well. Because there's a thing that's like inside of us where like we have to feel it at the same time as asking for the money. It should be scary to charge what you charge, but like sometimes people have this thing in themselves, like a self-valuing work that we have to do to really say, you know what, $100 an hour? No, I'm not going to give what I give for $100 an hour because of the value of it. You see what I
I
mean?
think, yeah, I think that I'm doing that work of like the personal work now. And I've had many folks tell me that I grossly undercharge. But I think and I don't even want to blame social work, but I think the training that I got as a social worker, which was my
Yeah.
initial professional training, is so heavy on accessibility
Mm-hmm.
that I think my mindset became, well, it needs to be accessible. So if I need to adjust my pricing to make it accessible, and that's what I got to do.
Yeah.
Uh, the pricing on my website, I feel like is very fair pricing. It's at like $250 an hour. And I have different packages based on how much time and support you want.
Ah, okay. There's a problem there. Okay. What if we framed your offer this way? Um, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. It's basically it's your second stream of income.
Yes, it is
You're
not my price.
so it's create your second stream of income as a therapist. Let's say it's that. Different people say it different ways. I say make more impact and income. Other people in the market will say things like therapist 2.0, or they'll say outgrow your therapy office. Or I'm thinking maybe for you it might be create your second stream of income as a therapist. Now, what people love is the term passive income, but I always stay away from that because the only true passive income is renting an apartment or buying an apartment, getting a manager and renting it out. That's passive income, right? And it's even not that passive. So you got to stay away from that word because it kind of lies to people, like they think they're just going to do something once and never work on it, and it's just going to make them money when really you're running a business here. But
Yeah.
instead of what you have to do is sell one thing for one price, Because when people see all these different prices or per hour or these kinds of things, you're in this constant negotiation with them, which is very annoying. And what you want to do is have them pay a fee that is worth the transformation you're going to give them. And to them, they can easily see through your marketing, if I pay this person, if I pay Josephine this, I'm going to make 10 times that amount. They have to believe that. That's your job in your marketing. So let's say you started at 3,000. And this was like a 3 or 4 month package, a 3 or 4 month excursion, something like that. And then every 3 sales, put your price up 500 like this until you find out what the market can bear. Okay. But what they need to buy is they need to buy this second stream of income in a box. So in their mind, they have to think, I need to spend, if I spend $3,000, I am taking a calculated risk that this is going to make me at least 30 a year. So they can see their 10x ROI. And then when you take testimonials of people making that, you're using that to push your price up, because where I want you to be is between $6,000 and $8,000. I think your original instinct was correct. But in order to do that, your marketing has to be very tied down. You see?
This may not be good for the video, but I'm kind of resentful of the work and don't know if I want to do it anymore.
Of social work or of this work with workshops?
This work with workshops. So
Tell me why you're resentful about it.
I'm angry at myself for being so flexible. And I think with how much work it takes on my end to build, because in all transparency, I'm not really just only helping folks build online courses and workshops. I'm telling them the importance of separating their personal and professional assets. I'm helping them build their websites. I'm helping them create their explanation of what they do in their content. I'm helping them build workshops. I'm teaching them how to, I'm doing all of these things. Yeah, I've built 4 websites and 2 of them were not for me.
This is done for you? This is like a done for you service?
Not, I guess so.
Like, you're not telling them how to do it. You're actually doing it for them.
In terms of the work, the actual building of the website, I'm doing that for them. In terms of the templates and things that they need to create, it's like a plug and play. Just put your stuff in and roll with it. And I have good testimonials. I had someone do a 12-minute webinar and get 4 coaching offers. What they did with it was what they did with it, but I helped them be able to reach where they wanted to go. And frankly,
so you can deliver and you're over delivering. The first thing I would do with the website, I know that a lot of mental health professionals complain, like, I don't ever want to touch tech. I don't want to do this. But if you actually template your website and give them an explainer on how to take the template and plug in their own text and photo, that most of them can follow it. I've had 75-year-old therapists be able to do that. So long as I kept to one sort of set design. But I think the key issue is the flexibility, your desire to help has sort of overruled the business sense. And this is classic, because what happens is when we start a business, it pushes our issues to the surface. And these are the issues that stand in the way between us and our successful business. And I'm sorry to tell you that will never stop happening. Your business will be one of your best mirrors as you go forwards. And so it's been developing the skill of seeing that. You know what I mean? If you're feeling resentful, you're feeling that same exact resentment, right, that a lot of mental health professionals feel when they're about 15, 20 years into their career, because the insurance industry, the agencies, the sweatshops, therapy apps have all taken from them. And at the same time, their clients are taking from them, and they just feel completely drained because they're being undervalued, right? And it's starting to come this way. And so your personal work has to be, you have to charge the right value for this. And when you do charge the right value for this, people will also say, well, she actually knows what she's doing. You know, for this kind of solution, for what she's offering, so long as your offer is very solid, as long as you're communicating in that webinar, and I'm sure there's a problem in that webinar somewhere with how you're communicating the value of what you're doing, so that somebody can just see the numbers in their mind. They're like, wow, if I launch an online course, if I launch a workshop and I'm making 30K in my first year with this, then you know, it's absolutely worth 3K, it's absolutely worth 5K, it's absolutely worth 8K to actually invest the money to make it happen. And when they did it for their actual license, right? They invested an enormous amount of money in getting licensed. So they understand that. I think there's just number one, you doing your own personal value work and never charging by the hour for this ever again. I think you have to make that commitment. It doesn't matter if there's a deal on the table, I am closed to being paid by the hour for this. This has to be an upfront lump sum amount. Number two, take the extremely laborious things, and either because you're charging thousands for it, or either because you're charging thousands for it, hire somebody in a different country who will actually fulfill that piece of the job under your development, or template it out so much that anybody with a point and click explainer video can take your template and make it their website very quickly. You see? And I think that will help to sort of systematize a few things so that you don't feel like every client who's coming towards you is taking this large amount of energy from you. You shouldn't be feeling that way. You should be feeling like the right exchange is there, and it's not right now.
It's
See?
not. And
Yeah.
I also feel like the idea that I sent you of like creating my own like suite of courses and things
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the profit that I get from that could also help my argument of the fact of like, I have not only done this for other people, I've done this for myself and I've been able to make X amount. Because genuinely, I do not, my clients may see this, but I genuinely do not want to sit with therapists anymore one-on-one. I just want to be able to work on it and provide the virtual coaching and
Mm-hmm.
have everything templated and set up so that they can do that. And I can focus on being a therapist and focus on working with educational organizations and helping them and using my master's in that way. Because I'm genuinely resentful of it. That's just the
Yeah, I
reality.
understand. Well, if you want to continue this business, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to there's no more one to one in that way because it doesn't serve everybody anyway. Like meeting somebody once a week can actually make the project go slower than having a group program where everything is set up in your own course and your own series of lessons that people are working through, and you're giving them check-in points with you, which they're doing in like a private Facebook group or on group coaching calls. And what you're going to find is when you structure that way, everybody's learning from everybody, everybody's moving through in with this energy, and everybody is excited because they're all working on their own particular projects to build their business, but at the same time, they're working in this community of therapists who want to become entrepreneurs. You see? And now
Yeah.
your offer that you sent me is a little too broad. For
Okay.
example, if you were to start your business, like I help therapists create online courses and workshops that will be their second stream of income. That's actually a little bit narrower.
Okay.
And it's very clear what you're going to help them to do. I mean, I hear from therapists every day who want an online course. I know the market is there for you. I know a lot of them already see the value. Why don't you
Okay.
tell me what's in your webinar? Like, give me the idea of what you're actually communicating there, because your webinar should be able to help you to sell this at a value that's correct.
So the webinar, I'm going to pull up the slides for it just to make sure that I don't miss anything. But the webinar that I did was for an organization that provides CEs. And
CEUs?
so
CEUs are
CEs,
already undercharged. I would never want to promote through them. But okay.
that's mistake number one.
Yeah.
I loved doing it, but it was called Create a Knockout Workshop. And I had like a catchy name. And I went through like the core things that you would need to know in order to be able to get your workshop done from start to finish. And it was very like high level. And it was more of like, these are the questions you need to be asking yourself rather than here is how I will help you answer these questions. So it was like very, very high level. And then I
The issue
said,
is
this is
actually, and it
something
starts
that,
with the name, which is create your workshop. You're selling an enabling product for creating a workshop to somebody who wants to create a workshop. And if your webinar was actually how to create a second stream of income by selling online courses and workshops through your therapy practice, you see how the offer is a little different there, because what you've done is you've made the offer about helping more people and making more money as opposed to creating a workshop. There's the messaging issue, which is at the very upfront part where you're engaging this person and what they think of you from the very beginning. But if they can see you, what they have to see you as is a person who can help them out of only trading time for money and into what I would call more leveraged income. Don't say passive, because I honestly think that people who say passive income are con artists, but leveraged income, is being able to charge for things, sell products, sell services that are digital, you see? And if you can actually sort of make your messaging more about that, it's more of a business pitch, automatically you're in a category that can charge more money just by changing the messaging in that way. Do you understand what
well,
I'm saying?
I think so. If I do a webinar on my own of how to create a second stream of income with workshops specifically for therapists, and I do like a quick intro webinar and I turn that into group coaching, I don't know how much I could charge for group genuinely. Clearly, I've been
Thousands,
priced.
because you're charging for the result. Honestly, people doing this in groups do better than people who are doing this one to one. I get calls from people as well who are saying, I don't want to be in a group program. I only want one to one. And I say to them, okay, well, it's $3,500 a month, which changes their minds pretty quickly, because they don't need one to one. You don't need one to one until you're over 500,000 in revenue and you're making specific business decisions. What they need is a process that actually gets their product launched. And you can deliver that better in a group program that gives more intensive support, because you're available to them in a community every day. You're available to them in a couple of coaching calls a week. And so they always have this momentum going. I have people who ask me questions almost every day in my program. And that's why they're launched quickly, you know? So I would say that what they're not buying, this is really critical to understand. They're not buying a one-to-one coach or a group program. What they're buying is a finished course or workshop in the market that's making them money. And so when you start to get what you're selling, your pricing can change dramatically, because they're no longer paying for your labor. They're paying for you to teach them how to get a result that's going to grow their business. And that is worth that. Then they start thinking in terms of numbers. They start thinking, okay, if I want 30,000 this year, 60,000 next year, and then 100,000 in year 3, is it worth paying Josephine $5,000 for that or $8,000 for that? Of course it is. But you have to lead them to that kind of thinking. If you lead them to the kind of thinking, which is, I'm going to get Josephine to do my website and my slides, they're going to want to pay you by the hour. You see what I mean? It's all about how
Yeah.
you sell what you sell. And it's you're perfectly within integrity, and you absolutely should be charging thousands for this, because you are helping people to change their career, get out of burnout. You're helping people to grow their practices in ways that doesn't require them to work harder or hire therapists to work for them or any of these things. You have such a high value in what you can do. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know what to do now because I could be missing someone, but 4 folks that I'm working with one on one.
Uh-huh.
Um,
they're not going to agree to go into a group coaching program. However, their testimonials are going to be very important for you
okay.
in launching your program. You help them to get the result, so their testimonial applies whether you're serving groups or one to one. And
Okay.
so, definitely, what they're doing is basically keep selling what you're selling, but change the messaging in the way that I'm telling you. No more charging by the hour, only charging by the thousand. And if people don't have thousands, they can use systems like PayPal credit, where they can make interest-free payments for 6 months in whatever way they want, but you get paid up front. You see, but this is your core offer, and then you need to change that webinar, and you may need professional marketing help to change that webinar. But the webinar messaging needs to change. You could watch my value video on my website, which is a 35-minute video, which just ends with book a call. I don't do the entire offer on there, but it'll help you to see the angle that I'm taking. And you should probably be very close to that.
Okay.
You see, because what I'm selling is this is how to make more impact and more income while reducing your clinical hours. And that's also very similar to what you're selling. I'm just doing it with programs, you're doing it with workshops and courses.
Yeah. I
See?
think the thing that I worry about is I am not a marketing expert, clearly.
Uh huh.
Um, I know how to get them the course and the finished product, but how to market it, how to be able to get it out there to be able to make the money that they want to make, that's what I'm nervous about.
Sure. Therapists are elusive on Facebook. They exist, but they're elusive. They don't like to be found on social media a lot, but they are quite public on LinkedIn. And they're quite easy to find on LinkedIn because they all have their job title, you see? And so that can be a place to start marketing yourself organically in the beginning, and then take 25 to 50% of the money you make from that organic at the beginning and prepare yourself to do an ad supported campaign. There are other therapists who have learned this. I mean, I'm a little different. I've been a marketer for 25 years. So I'm a marketing expert who married a mental health professional. And so I have enough of an idea about the mental health market. But there are other people out there, Dr. TK, Katie Reed. There's a bunch of other therapists turned business coaches for other therapists who only have a few years experience of doing marketing in this environment, and they're being successful. So it's absolutely learnable. You just have to get some of the concepts that I'm trying to transmit to you, and it takes a little bit of time. And what you may want to do is have a marketing expert help you with that webinar when you're ready to invest in it. You're going to need to be ready to risk about 5 to 7 thousand, maybe 10,000, in running a webinar campaign with Facebook ads. That's why I'm saying start out on LinkedIn, do it organically, and that means you have 100% profit margin, and then just save some of that money ready to build into an advertised webinar campaign. But I absolutely see no reason why you should not be able to be making 16 grand a month within a few months with this, and 30 to 50 grand a month within a year or two with this kind of business, with this kind of offer that you have, if you're able to follow these steps. You see, it's going to start with you really valuing yourself and the transformation that you create for people, and that's also going to help your clients to charge their worth as well, because you're coming and bringing that energy to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
That's what I would
sure.
say. And then once you do that, you will find that the feelings of resentment will disappear because your clients are no longer draining you, because you're being appropriately rewarded for what you know you're giving them. And
Okay.
because they also understand, because of the quality of your marketing, they also understand the transformation that they're paying you. They're happy to give you that money, you see, because they value the transformation you're going to take them through, you see.
Okay. This is very helpful. I think there are some nerves. I'll
Good.
be honest.
You should be
Uh,
uncomfortable as hell because that means you're pushing yourself to your edge. You see? And then once you do that and you get the result, you're then going to push to the next edge. You see? And then the next one. You see? And then each time you do that, your income will go up.
uh, so in terms of what I sent you, in terms of like the different lists of ideas and different audiences
Uh-huh.
and having it like be a choose your own adventure, you feel like that's doing too much?
I think that's years from now. I think you need to start with one offer, which is
Okay.
create your paid workshop or course and start your second stream of income in your practice. If you can do that as your first offer and just solve that one problem, then that's called a direct response offer. It's like people are like, yes, I want to do that. Here's the money, and they do it. And it's for a small subset of the market. And then what you really pitched was, I want to help mental health professionals. I want to help coaches and course creators, and I want to help different kinds of companies create all of these different courses and workshops and offerings. That's more like a sort of a brand. You need money to build a brand. So start with one direct response offer, make it a successful business, and then you will see a path open up to yourself to say, well, actually, I could do this for many more people in many different ways. And you start going from this direct response offer to an actual brand or a university. You see what I mean? It's kind of like the entrepreneurship school of some sort, you see?
So I can build up to what I wrote, but I should start with what I.
Yeah, start with one narrow focused offer, deliver on it really, really well, get the income up so it's consistent, and then start building a brand on the back of it. And see, if you
Okay.
do it that way, people will still understand what you do more clearly. If you're coming in one person with one single pitch, that's a clearer way to start your business and get the money rolling in.
Okay.
It's because everybody starts with a big idea, and then you have to be able to break that idea down into achievable chunks and stages of growth in your business, you see?
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if I should start a second LLC to do this because right now I have it like compiled with my therapy practice.
So there's a lot of beliefs about LLCs. Some are true, some are false. Having an LLC doesn't protect your license if you're offering coaching or something like this, because you personally you're the licensed person, you see? So, but it can be good for asset protection. So let's say, God forbid, you ever got into a legal problem with your course creation business. If it's under the same LLC and the same revenue as your therapy practice is also in that legal problem. But if you separate the two, then it provides that level of protection. And that's how to think about it. It's really about asset protection. You see?
Because I feel like I'm offering so many different things, and some of it is going really well, and like
Uh-huh.
this is not going well at all. Like clinical supervision, going well. My therapy practice, going well. Like
Uh,
so I'm trying to
you're
expand.
doing clinical supervision.
Mhm.
How long have you been
For
doing clinical supervision for?
not long at all. Uh, under a year.
Understand that the people you're supervising right now in about 1 or 2 years are actually going to be excellent leads for this outgrow your office, create your second stream of income offer.
Huh. I didn't think of that.
They're the hottest leads you're going to have because they're going to have got their license, got their hours, gone out and got a job, and then about 2 years in, they're starting to think, wow, well, what am I going to do now? I've got my practice, got my job up and running, I've got my clients. How am I going to grow? Just an aside, but
I did not even think
25 to
of.
50% of these people will probably work with you.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
Because
Just for the future. If you're doing it less than a year, it's too early, but that's another place you're going to get clients from. Anyway, back to the asset protection. Asset protection is going to be um, the only goal to do that. I would get revenue coming out of this business first before you worry about it. And then when you do,
Okay.
if you want to create a second LLC, you're not creating some complex clinical LLC. It takes a long time to get set up and approved. You're just going onto your state website and doing it in an hour.
This feels very difficult, but also feels doable.
Good. You should feel
Uh,
challenged because when you
yeah,
when you get your first client, it's going to feel so good. And when you get your third client, it's going to feel so excellent. You know, you're like, wow, this is starting to happen. And then you're going to have this sense of empowerment and sense of your own value that's going to grow out of that, you see.
fair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you recommend I work through the questioning of myself in terms of writing down the three zeros next to the comma? Because I feel like that's the biggest, I don't want to say defensiveness. I feel like that's just the biggest like hurdle.
If a client of yours does this and gets the result and they add 30,000 of worth of income into their first year, 60,000 into their second year, 100,000 into their third year, I mean, you will think of yourself, wow, I should have charged them more. You see? And so you have to think about the value of the transformation you create, then decide what is your price, which I think an easy, if they can easily see a path to $30,000, it should be very simple for you to ask for 3,000. If they can easily see a path to 50,000, it should be easy for you to ask for 5,000. Because what all you're asking for is 10% of what they can make if they actually do the work and get the result. You see? And so that's a good place to start from. And then what you need to do is do it scared. But you have to make sure your messaging in your webinar is about the business opportunity, not just about the fulfillment of doing the slides and making videos and websites. You have to be selling them, I'm going to teach you how to create this business. And if you do that, it will sell at a much higher rate. You see?
Okay. So I'm really becoming more of like a business coach.
You're becoming a business coach that teaches them the nuts and bolts of how to do it. You teach them the opportunity that they have in creating a paid workshop or course to create their second stream of leveraged income in their practice. Then you're saying, I'm going to basically give you everything you need in a box to be able to do this, and I'm going to teach you how to do it well. And then you need to be able to create a webinar campaign that communicates that very clearly. And if you can do that, you will be able to charge substantially more.
Mm.
You see? That's the key building blocks that are missing. I feel like you've just sort of been feeling your way into the environment, and that's how people do this. It's completely fine. And this is the lesson that you need to learn, because once you do learn this lesson, you're going to be able to have a successful business. And then there's going to be a bunch more lessons I need to tell you in order to how to take it to the next level and the next level. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. This discomfort is normal. The
Yeah, it
discomfort.
should feel scary.
Okay. I need to move away from the thought process of, well, I can't guarantee them anything to, well, actually, I could give them
Yeah.
a,
You're seeing those guarantees that are in the coaching space. Is that right? You're seeing these people that do these things, get this result or I'll refund your money. What is important to understand about these guarantees is that almost everybody who is doing them is a con artist. Because if you actually read the fine print in those guarantees, you will see there is only a very, very, very narrow path to get your money back if you actually
mm,
read their contract. That's why I don't offer the guarantee, because I think that the whole premise of it, you can't guarantee that somebody else is going to do the work that you're telling them to do.
okay. That's
You
what I
see?
needed. Thank you. Because I think there's this piece of like, I can tell them everything that they want to hear, but if they don't make the money, is it my fault?
If you are serving them in such a way that they can make that money if they follow what you do, you're going to find that it's kind of niche dependent. You're going to find there are people who launch and then they make money right away. That just happened with my client Scarlett. She's up to 7.5 grand really quickly. with her coaching program right after launch, and it's from people who don't know who she is, never met her before. It's basically an advertising campaign that I've taught her how to do that's working really well. Somebody else in a different niche doing exactly the same advertising campaign took 3 months to get his first sale. And it's because he was struggling in applying really what I was teaching him to do because of some personal things, some personal aversions to making offers, and these kinds of things. So it took him a little bit longer to get it, you see? And then some other people might not listen to what you're saying. You know, they might come up with an idea where it's just not going to make money, and you're saying, you know, you need to really rethink this niche, but they are just being difficult and they're not going to make money. You see? And so just so long as you have confidence that if they do what you teach them to do, there's a very good chance they're going to have the result. That's fine. But don't guarantee it because you can't guarantee their work. And when you do a guarantee, you attract people who are trying to rip you off. They're basically like, I'm going to go into this program, I'm going to dip my toe in the water just a little bit. And if I don't like it, I'm just going to ask for a refund. I do not have time to coach these people because these people will never be successful at anything they do with that kind of mindset. And so I just don't. If I hear people asking me for that, I don't make an offer to join my program because why? What's the point in putting any effort into them? You see, sounds
Yeah,
cold, but without you can't unless they fix that mindset, you can't help them anyway.
I can help them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes, it
I
does.
think you have it. There's no reason why you couldn't be making um, a lot of money each month with this. There's no reason you couldn't be making $16,000 a month within a few months. There's no reason you couldn't be making $30,000 within a year, a month. I'm saying, and there's no reason why you couldn't be making $50,000 a month with this within 2 years.
Mm.
But I think you have it. You understand the key mindset shift. You have a messaging problem you have to fix, and you have a pricing problem you have to fix. And if you can fix both of those, you're going to be fine.
Okay. Can I
That's
get a
what I would
copy
say.
of the recording?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, no problem, no problem. All right, awesome. Glad, very nice to meet you, and I look forward to hearing about
Yes.
your success. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye for now.